to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down Infamous.
Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forum.
This is Parker. Go buy Twig on forums.
This is Jeremy. Again, hashtag Incepted forums. No forums. Incepted.
Jeremy doesn't post on the forums. He convinces the forums to post about him.
Probably.
All right. So today we have a couple very quick announcements. First announcement is Parker's probation has been extended because of his poor acting last week. What's funny about that? I'm holding you to a high standard, which is something you've refused to do for yourself at any point.
Acting is the word. Gilling out.
Right, well, normally you act like terribly, and I want you to act well, so that's like acting, right?
He needs to be disciplined.
Okay. All right, and the second announcement is Parker's about to read the news.
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 All right, so news today, pretty shallow news. We've gotten, I feel like, the deluge, and now we're in the ebb and flow. It is Scarlet Witch card. We've got it. We know what it says now, and basically what we have is defensive stats is basically what's new.
Yeah, we basically do everything on this one, but we'll do a quick synopsis.
Yeah. So, oh geez, my render is.
Yeah, you didn't do it right. You have to open the original. I'll do it. I got it. You have to open the original. You never mind. I'll explain it later. It's how the internet works. Important
I got it.
Information.
I have it.
I'm reading it right now. You failed at your job. Probation extended again.
What?
So we have 6 hit points on the front and the back. You were supposed to.
You lost your job.
The ball because you can't read a picture.
I put my finger up because you told me not to say and like try to fill space.
I can't see you because I've opened the picture.
Oh, okay. I put up my finger going. Wait, I'm not going to try to talk during dead space. And then I found the original, so I have it now. You're correct. I downloaded the wrong thing onto the podcast channel, but I have the other one.
Yeah. I'll explain it later. Just remind me. You're up. Go ahead.
Okay. So, what we know about Scarlet Witch is that she has 6 health on both sides. She has 3 physical defense, 4 energy defense, and 4 mystic defense. We now know that Hexbolt and Cruel Twist are both mystic attacks. Do we know their range before? I think we didn't. Hexbolt is a range 4. Cruel Twist is a 3.
We did not know. No, we did. Because I watched the video.
Okay.
Anyone who watched the video or listened to my rants knew that the ranges were what they are.
We wondered if how her throw was going to work. So telekinesis is her throw. It costs 3. Only terrain features, size 4 or less. But it is size 4 or less terrain features. And within 3 of her, throw at medium. So she throws like a hoss, just not people. We knew what Curse was going to do, which is her ability to, when she's about to be damaged, she gives judgment. So she'll now be the second character that can give judgment in the game.
Hers is noticeably different than Ronin's, though, but they're similar.
Right. Yeah, because Ronin does it with anybody, right? Anybody?
Yeah, but it's if they get attacked, I believe. Hers is if she's damaged by an enemy effect.
Right.
I think Ronin is only on an attack, so they actually trigger differently.
Mm-hmm. Then with her passive, when attacking, defending, or dodging, she gets to add fail results to total successes, and Hex Field, enemy characters performing a shake action while within 3 of this character may not remove Hex, Judgment, or Poison. So it's similar to Crystal's ability, but with different effects. So not being able to remove Judgment is pretty ridiculous.
Important to know, you can remove Incinerate, which she does, and you can also remove Bleed, which she does.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a random 3 of her effects you can't remove, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, if Crystal and her are on the field at the same time, you cannot remove Incinerate. So
Yeah.
that's weird.
Also, I checked Ronin. His is actually very similar. I was wrong. If an allied character or him, allied character within 3 or him suffer damage from an enemy effect, you can use it and give them judgment.
Okay.
So hers is just without the allies within 3 part. So it's very similar.
Mm-hmm. She flies, which we expected. But yeah, she seems like a real hoss of a 5-point character. Like, real hoss.
So
Curse plus Hexfield is going to be really ball busting.
So Cruel Twist, is that the best attack in the game? So it's 8 dice Mystic, which Mystic isn't really the best damage type. But 8 dice, including skulls, and your opponent can't count their crits or roll extra dice for crits. Which means they're getting 2 out of 8 defenses, and they can't explode. And you're getting to add skulls. And you have Pierce.
Yeah,
on a skull.
kind of a weird Pierce, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she lines up. She is of damage dealers in the top 3, and that's Magneto within 2, which he is one of the strongest in the game, if not the strongest. She just lines up right behind him and right along Corvus and Thanos, I believe, math-wise, with the reality gem. Because hers is a little bit, I don't know if it's better or the same as a reality gem. Because
I think it's actually better.
Yeah.
The 1 extra die that can't be that doesn't count skulls, I think the all skulls is better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to say it lines up very close.
Yeah. Well, at the 8 dice level, at least, I think it's better. If you're only rolling like 1 or 2 dice, then the critical one is probably better.
Without Corvus getting all of his special tactics cards, we don't know Scarlet Witch has tactics cards that buffer damage, but without Corvus's tactics cards, like, she can do a lot more damage than Corvus with Cruel Twist and Telekinesis. If she has the power, she had to have 9 power to do both in the same turn, but that would be so much damage.
Execute isn't why he does damage, but yeah. It's a combination of like Death Blow and Glaive's Edge, and then possibly Death's Decree from Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's because he's getting blanks and 1 skull, then it actually ends up being more. But you're also investing similar amount of power, but this is range 3, and with Pierce, I don't know. It's pretty close. This is actually cheaper, and it's longer. It's same range, actually.
She feels good at 5 points. I think that's what's nice. She feels like a 5-point model.
I think she'll actually get enough power to actually use this sometimes, too. Because I think her Hex Bolt is going to end up racking up a lot of extra power.
Mm-hmm.
I love Curse plus Hexfield. If she has other stuff, but Curse, oh man, it is going to be.
I don't know how good Hexfield is. I know a lot of people like that, like can't shake stuff, but I don't think it actually matters a lot. As soon as you get judgmented, you basically are just like, please daze me, like.
Yep.
Because the whole point of judgment is that you don't get power for damage, which means their goal is to damage you, which means you're going to get dazed fairly soon anyway. Like, when we were playing the like Bash Bros list with Ghost Rider and Ronin, once you got 2 effects on you, you're just waiting to get dazed, because you can't shake 4 negative effects, and by the time you shake them, they'll just put them back.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't matter. So I think those, like, can't shake stuff is, like, just a throw-in fluffy rule. I don't think it actually matters.
So maybe it's just Curse that I like, but I think another character running around with Judgment is a big deal.
However, if you're comboing it with cards like All Webbed Up, like if Crystal prevents people from shaking slow, and you have All Webbed Up available, well, that's a completely different conversation, because that's actually, like, specific ability denial.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm very happy with her card. I'm excited to get some games in with her.
I'm excited for her to be in Avengers. I want to see her.
Yeah, I think that's like guaranteed, because all characters in the game are in Avengers.
Yeah, Crystal does stop you from shaking slow, so I just looked at her card, so that would benefit.
Lame.
She works. So other card that we got was her bro, Quicksilver. So we know what Quicksilver does. he is very, very similar to what we already thought. Did we know what combination? So what we had confirmed.
We knew the results. I had
Yeah.
posted them. I don't know if everybody else knew.
Yep. So he has 5 health on both sides. Speed long. His defenses are 3s across the board. Supersonic reflexes allows him to reroll 2 defense dice or dodge dice on physical and energy attacks. Wall crawler. Can't catch me is something we knew about, but they kind of spelled out exactly how it works and how it interacts with like timing of activation and things. Can't catch me is a 3 power reactive ability. When somebody targets him with an attack, he immediately moves short, a la Loki, the way Loki works as well. If your opponent can't attack you at that point, they get their action back, so it doesn't cost them an action, which is similar to the way Loki works. And we already knew Speedster and how that worked. He's going to move a whole lot.
Yeah. Interesting point. Can't catch me. He actually has wall crawler that Loki doesn't. So it's actually possible for him to move like over a piece of terrain that's bigger than himself, where Loki can't do that.
Yep. Another model I'm excited to put in Avengers. I want it.
I think this guy's going to be in a lot of lists.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's the best 3-point character, but I think he brings a whole new element that, like, I guess you could say Zemo is probably the most similar character to this because Zemo has some rerolling. He has a lot of mobility like this guy does. Yeah, but he looks really fun to play with.
Do you think, actually, that's a really good point, like just putting his card next to Zemo's card, they are very, very similar. Is Can't Catch Me good enough? Like, because I feel like that's really supersonic reflexes letting him reroll 1 die. I don't think it's. I'm just trying to think.
You could almost argue he hits harder than Zemo does. His is just random. So Zemo is super consistent. Quicksilver is more defensive and more variable.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, they're similar for sure. What's your thoughts on this guy, Jeremy?
Yeah, he just seems like an objective runner. He's not really going to do much damage on the board. I like Zemo because Zemo can charge in and get all of his attacks and with the rerolls, and he helps your team out a bit. And I think they're very good. It's a very good like comparison. I just don't know. Kind of depends on what teams he goes with. It's probably Brotherhood and Avengers, right?
He's definitely going to be in Brotherhood. He'll probably be in Avengers, yeah.
So, maybe.
Could be in
I'll put him on the
Cabal.
board a couple times. We'll see what happens.
It could be in Cabal. They worked for Hydra in the movies.
You mean he'll be in the Hydra faction?
Yeah, he'll only be in the new Hydra faction that comes out when Parker dies. Ooh, speaking of, the next few days, we might find out who wins the bet.
When does Sinister hit the shelves?
Sinister comes out, I want to say it's the 14th. It's basically a week from tomorrow.
Yep.
Or a week from Friday, yeah, the 14th.
And the bet was...
Shaved head.
Shaved head bet.
It was not a shaved head.
We have it on audio.
You guys just keep saying that over and over again.
If Sinister is, I already cut my hair. If Sinister is in Brotherhood, I win.
That's right.
If he is not in Brotherhood, but is in Cabal, Parker wins. Or no, wait, was the wording we said any other faction, Parker wins?
Yeah, I just didn't want him. Yeah, I just didn't want him in Brotherhood.
If he is not in Brotherhood, but is in any other faction, Parker wins.
Right.
And if he's unaffiliated, only it's a push. And so no one wins.
Is that what
he
you
has
said?
he has to be affiliated with somebody for one of us to win.
I actually thought it was. I thought it was backwards. I said he was going to be unaffiliated. That's what it was. Because I am confident that Sinister shouldn't be affiliated.
I am confident that he shouldn't be affiliated.
I am confident. I don't like.
I
it.
am very certain that's not true, but we can go back and check.
Okay, I'll have to listen to that. We'll have to listen to that episode.
Yeah, 100%. I'm pretty sure it's the other way around.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you bet that he was going to be in Cabal.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And you're gonna be buying me Mr. Sinister.
I think it is. I think there is quite good chance that I'll be buying you a Sinister. But
I'll tell you what. If you can't afford it, I also accept payment in Parker hairs. The exchange rate is not good.
Please.
Yeah, it's not good exchange rate because it's like $25. That's like 2.5 million hairs.
Jesus.
And I'm going to need the roots. You got to pull the bitches out.
The thought makes me mad. Okay.
Alrighty. Is there anything else we want to cover with news?
That's it. Shallow news.
Shallow news.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's because our spoilers were just so good.
Yeah, very rich.
All right. So let's move into currently playing. We haven't done this in a while because there's been not a lot of stuff going on. Currently playing, I have recently played my first game of Criminals. Lifetime undefeated with Criminals is going quite well.
Well done.
Jeremy basically conceded on turn 1. That's how strong I was.
Oh my god.
No, I think Jeremy got caught in a bad scenario for the list he took. But yeah, it went quite well. I enjoyed Kingpin, who... What did he do? He one-shotted, like, somebody important.
He, like, staggered a bunch of stuff and threw a bunch of guys. He did what he does.
No, he, like... Who was it that hit me? Was it Thor?
No, because I was trying... What even the hell was I playing?
All I remember was you were playing Magneto, and like, you were only playing a 3-character list.
Oh, because you low-pointed me. You lowballed me, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I did 15 points. Yeah, because you want to do Thanos, Magneto.
Dude, no, I wanted
points.
to fucking play Black Order, goddammit.
Yeah, fuck you. You had 2 fucking models. That's right, it was Corvus and Proxima and Magneto. That was your fucking dumb list, wasn't it?
No.
Or was it? No, it was Mystique.
I had
you were
Mystique in there, yeah.
Yeah, it was Mystique, Corvus, and then Magneto, the typical Brotherhood.
The best version.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was Corvus. Like, Corvus came in and tried to kill... Yeah, because turn 1, you deceptioned Kingpin after he moved forward, walked him forward. Corvus came in and tried to kill me. I lived through his 2 attacks, and then he just, like, one-shots, like, dazed fucking Corvus.
Oh,
You're like, that doesn't happen.
Well, and I didn't... I've never used Mystique's leadership, and I thought, okay, we split the table in half. I'll get someone over there. And it was the wrong choice. Magneto's would have been so much goddamn better.
Yeah, I had Toad. I actually played Toad in this matchup, and Toad literally just was unchallenged on the left side of the board the entire game. He's just sitting on an objective and, like, collecting an extract and moving back to the objective, and he's like, I hate this game. Toad scored, like, 8 scenario points.
Yeah, it was
we shouldn't have somebody to send over there. He literally just
I only had 3 fucking dudes.
He had 3 models. I had like 5 models. It was terrible. It did not go well. Anyway, it was a fun first try of Criminals. Also, recently we ran the Vibranium heist, where Killmonger steals all the Vibranium unless your name is Parker.
Unless your name is Parker.
None of the Vibranium, which is also amount of 0.
Yeah. To be fair.
On the same side of that coin, Jeremy is the only player to perfectly defend the vaults.
Well, Thanos did. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, let it be known that Black Order really good at not losing stuff.
Yeah,
they're greedy.
Only because I put him on the back table edge.
There was some irony there. There's some irony there. Black Panther teamed up with the Avengers and Killmonger to steal Vibranium, and the Black Order in their full regalia show up and whooped ass. It was actually pretty fun. It came down to 1 die roll. Actually, I almost won. It was 1 die roll. Nice. I didn't get it, but
so in also that current news, Parker got to play his first Real Boy game.
Mm-hmm.
He's no longer the wooden-nosed creep that just plays online.
The wooden-nosed creep.
I saw that movie. It's about a pervert with a wooden face.
Oh my god.
Anyway, yeah. The whale is a metaphor, Jeremy.
Oh my god.
For pervertism. Anyway. So how did it feel to play a real game?
What do you mean? I played 1 real game before this. Before the pandemic.
Was that with
a year and a half ago?
2 years ago?
I played it with you.
What year was it? 2019?
It was... No, I think it was 2020. I remember I didn't want to touch this game until a couple of releases happened. So I didn't play my first game
That
until
was 2019. Pretty sure.
Really? It would have been right after Wakandans came out, because I played the Wakandans.
You came in like right when the Asgardians came out,
That's right.
And you were like, I'm going to get the Asgardians. And then I told you how they played. And you're like, I'm buying Wakandans. And
Yeah.
you never bought the Asgardians.
I never
I was
did.
like, what is wrong with you?
It's the only faction I never played.
Yeah.
But the it was fun. The only thing was, of course, I only want to play with my painted stuff. I don't like playing with anything else.
Yeah.
And so I only have my painted stuff on me. So I just had the Avengers and most of the Guardians and the Black Order with me. And so yeah, I didn't get to play. I guess I did have Wakandans also. But so I put Killmonger on the board, but I didn't play the other Wakandans. I got to play my favorite faction, which is Avengers. How many ways can I discount powers on your turn?
How many suits of armor
was
do you
problem.
have that cause blanks to count as blocks? 3.
Yeah, because anyone who's unfamiliar, if you play the scenario and you're the attacker, the person trying to steal the vibranium, you gain access to Killmonger, chosen of, it's like Kaluna or what, I don't know what the guy's name is,
Mhm.
but he is basically from the Black Panther movie Killmonger while he has the orange suit. And so he has the vibranium armor that Black Panther has, and he's super hard to kill. He's got 7 hit points. He succeeds on blanks on defense. It's just, he's a very beefed up version of Killmonger, and it's pretty cool.
He doesn't
so
do
anyway,
much damage.
But when you then also take Captain America and Black Panther, your
And-
guys just don't
and Black
die
Widow.
very quickly.
and
And
Black Widow. It was
Oh my
it
God.
was really funny. It was really funny that I put it down. Going, okay, I know I'm just supposed to get in there, steal stuff, and leave. Like I don't need to win. I just need to survive. So I picked those guys for that reason. It was a good idea. What was wonderful is whenever Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive tried to pierce my stuff, and he was like, "Oh, huh."
Stupid.
Piercing
fucking
does
stupid.
fucking nothing, does it? And they're like, yeah, I guess it does fucking nothing. It does nothing at all.
So then you were immediately executed by a Black Order model.
I got executed.
How's your armor work now?
It was also a comedy of errors in terms of dies. I decided to go with the Captain America ability, the Day Like Any Other, instead of Killmonger's ability. Killmonger's lets you re-roll the warning dice, the warning dice that go off. So every time the thief tries to interact with the objective, you roll dice, and if you roll a skull, then bad things happen to you. And it lets you re-roll that dice to avoid getting skulls. And I rolled 1 skull on every single roll that I tried to do, except 2. And so, in case you haven't played the objective, you have to roll the dice probably over the course of a game, probably like nearly a dozen times. And so I had 10 alarms go off, and it was just it was an uphill fight. So I made a mistake. Just in the future, if Marvel game gives me a special character with a specially designed leadership ability, I'll do that now instead of the one I like.
Especially if you're already playing the character anyway, huh?
Right.
He didn't know
I
how
liked
to do a game without getting the Avenger bonus.
Yeah.
I don't know how
He
to play it
assumed
right
you
now.
were required to only play Captain America
Yeah.
all the time.
I only play with the Star Spangled Avenger right now, and that was the conclusion we came to at the end of the game. Is I think I need to play this game with any other ability just to feel what it feels like to cost 2, to pay 2 for a power, because almost everybody has to pay 2 for a power in this game. It just would feel weird for me to do that, but maybe I need to try. And if I'm really sad about not having enough power, I should just play Asgardians instead. I'll go down to my local game store and buy all the Asgardians so I can not care that I have to spend 2 power for all my abilities.
We're now only accept Parker Harris as payment.
Damn.
It's like Needful Things. It doesn't cost money.
Needful things. I have a topic I thought of the other day, actually, related to Quicksilver's thing. Is there a precedent coming up soon where basically it's just called Objective Squad, where it's just all the characters in the game that can break certain objectives, like the Dog and Quicksilver and Enchantress, and you're just playing and Miles. It doesn't matter what faction they're in. You just play everything that has some sort of superb rule to manipulate the game's objectives, and you just make sure you're always winning objectives because you always have a tool to take advantage of that. So rather than having a balanced list where you have one or two objective type characters.
Are you trying to say the words Web Warriors? I don't understand.
Even Web Warriors has like a fighty type guy. There's about to have two, right? Like Venom.
Yeah, but you don't have to take Venom.
Right. Like,
and Venom is kind of a scenario model, but not nearly as much as the others.
But
people don't use Venom mostly.
So I guess you play the three very objectives based Web Warriors and Quicksilver
Daredevil.
and Enchantress, and then you're constantly winning objectives. So
yeah, I think if most lists, when they decide that they're going to go in on scenario, just go all in on scenario. I don't think that they're like half-assing it, and they're like, well, I also need some fighty stuff. Like the whole point of your roster is that you build a balanced roster and then like focus with the models you have in it. Are you just saying that there's getting to the point where there's too many really good models at scenario?
I was wondering if there's too many models that are unfair at it. I feel like it's for example, like Miles, the ability to steal something, and now we have Enchantress that can steal something. We have Quicksilver that can move long 3, and he can like easily grab an objective and move it back long on the very first turn. It's not easy. You just have to have a way to give him one extra power, or he can be in Avengers or in Humans or whatever. So like,
no, he can't, because it's 2 power for him to move again.
Right.
So you'd have to have 3 power on the first turn.
Okay, so you'd have to be in Avengers with R&D to do it first turn.
Or in Inhumans, yeah.
Or in Inhumans.
But you could just play Angela and actually do it.
How does Angela do it how is Angela guaranteed to do it?
She's on a medium base. So she can just get to the objective on the first turn.
Spider-Man's going to be even better. But I mean, there's lots of models that can do it now. The problem, I think that the game breaks down pretty quickly into the you're going to do this, and what is your counter? And there's plenty of counters in the game. I don't think there's any way to just run away with objectives and not have any sort of retort. There's way too many ways to move.
Here's the you guys are all just that this is the conversation that I wondered would be an interesting topic. Like, is going all in actually a viable strategy where you're just like piling all the models in, or do you need to have counterplay? Or it's like that's the idea. Can you sell out for objectives and expect to win? That's basically the topic. Or should you expect to lose when you sell out for objectives? Because I don't know.
Well, I think that topic could go. I think it could go hand in hand with then what does that list look like, and maybe talk about how that would look, and then maybe talk about how you could take that apart with just how to beat that or not. I don't know. But Web Warriors, like Brandon was saying, is very much that. I mean, they can get fighty, but they don't want to. I mean, they will not swing one time at you if they don't want to.
Right. We just last podcast talked about how a cold card got banned because it was creating exactly that scenario. Right. You could just sell out completely to the game for Hired Muscle, and you could expect to win. It's whoever got to play Hired Muscle first. So they took that card out of the game. So is it still possible? I was just curious. That was.
I mean,
with new cards,
scenario dedicated lists were a thing before Hired Muscle.
Mm-hmm. Asgard is really good at a few of them. The ones where you use your energy to flip things. They're really, really good at that, and that has not changed. You can sell out for that 100% because you can actually get a very good chance of getting that mission or crisis. I mean, because there's 2 of them.
If you don't think it's a worthwhile conversation, that's fine. It just that's something I thought about whenever we
kind of had the conversation on the pre-ramble, so I don't know. Is there something specific you want to talk about? Like, it sounded like you're basically just trying to say it's like, do we think scenario lists are viable right now? And I think they are.
No, I mean like specifically, do you think there was a? That's what I said before. The selling out for scenario. Should you expect to win? Just selling out straight for it and going really hard. Like putting every character, like my roster will be 10 characters in the game. If it doesn't have an ability that manipulates other characters or objective tokens, it doesn't go into my list. Like
I don't think that specific roster has value because I don't think you need to invest all 10 characters in getting it done. Like I think you could do it with like and still put in other stuff too.
But then
Like,
why
if
would
wanted
you?
to-
Go ahead.
If you want to play Wakanda or Web Warriors, which are generally considered two of the stronger scenario affiliations, Wakanda has the ability to fight as well as do scenario, and so does Web Warriors. And so, by intentionally removing the combat elements of your list, you are basically removing options. And I think once you get to the point where you have 6 or 8 scenario like dedicated characters in your list, you're getting to the point where removing the other options is actually a negative because you're so far into diminishing returns on the scenario focused side that it's not actually helping you.
I
Even
guess
if
what
they're
I'm-
only there as a bluff.
Okay, I guess if you put him in as a bluff, I guess that there's a reason to put like not a character that has an objective manipulation ability in. But
Well, also remember that the scenarios are chosen. So like if your opponent manages to get you locked into a scenario that is hard to win, then maybe you don't want to go 100% in on scenario because you might actually lock yourself into a bad So are you saying, are you expecting to win when you're asking, would you expect to win with a complete sellout scenario list? What do you mean by expect to win? Like, we expect to win the majority of our games, or we expect to have a chance, or what does that mean?
okay, so I do not feel like I have the expertise to be able to look at the game right now and say, I'm going to win 80% of my games because I have this exact list that will manipulate the game in such a way that it'll be very difficult to lose.
Right.
My question is not so much can we try to break the game, but rather is the game getting to a point with and the character like Quicksilver is like the one that popped up in my mind. I was like, wow, a character that can move long 3, that seems like a character that's very, very difficult to pin down in such a way or play around because he's just going to be able to move across the board so fast. In a game where objectives matter, it's such a big deal that he can do this. Is there already a point that the game can just be sold out to that, where I can say, I'm going to win an objective because you have to kill all my characters in 6 rounds or I'm winning on objective. If you kill all my characters in 6 rounds, congratulations, you won. But if you can't kill my characters in 6 rounds, I win because I have all the characters that are going to give me extra points. I'm going to get more points than you every round, no matter what. So it doesn't matter if you gave me an objective where I don't get 3 points a round. I'm going to get 2 points a round, and you're not going to get any because I sold out. I have nothing but characters that control or steal your objectives or go and contest because I move long 3. Or I'm Angela and I grab it and move back. I have all these things on my list so that it doesn't matter what my affiliation is. None of that matters. It doesn't matter what their stats are. None of that matters. You have to kill all my characters. You have to eat through all their health and all their defensive dice. If you can do that in 6 rounds, you have a chance of winning because I'm going to make sure that you never, ever, ever get more objective points than me because all my characters have that. That's what I'm saying.
That's the point of scenario lists. I don't think you should be planning on trying to win by 6. I think most scenario like dedicated lists are winning by turn 4. And so I think that's the hard part and I don't know that they have to actually kill you. They just have to stop you from getting to the point of like critical mass, which is when they can no longer kill you in time, right? So if you're going for the scenario rush, basically you should be scoring 5 or more points a round, I would say. Like 4 on the first turn is okay, but anything less than 4 past turn 1 is probably your opponent's doing a really good job of stopping you if you're scoring less than 5. That's my opinion of like how fast scenario lists work. And then it's all about just getting to 16 before they actually kill you. I don't think you can live to the end of 6 if they're just 100% selling out to kill you.
So you think... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think you're talking about 2 different things as well. Like, stealing extracts is one thing and running away. It's a whole nother model to hold a point. Like, most of those 3-point models that are running fast and doing these things are not going to be able to just be static and hang out on top of a point. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
What I was talking about specifically was not a rush, like not trying to like I'm actually talking. For example, if you have 2 more models than your opponent because you're playing everything 3 points, and maybe your biggest character is Angela, maybe if they give you a big point total, or it's Enchantress because she has the ability to steal stuff, so it's just pretty much of a premium. You pay 1 extra point for that. Everything else is 2s and 3s. Everybody moves long. You got characters like Quicksilver. You got characters like Miles. The point is this: you don't need 5 points a turn. You just need 1 more than they do. Is it at the point now where we can expect, because we have characters like Quicksilver? Before, if I had 1 character left to activate, they could put me in a situation where I couldn't get all the way to the board to contest. I couldn't get all the way to that 1 point that has nobody on it. I couldn't get there. But now I can, because Quicksilver exists in the game. So now I can cross the entire length of the board and contest. You were going to get 2, and I was going to get 2, but now you're going to get 1, and I'm going to get 2. So it doesn't matter what the number is. You're not rushing to try to get to 16 faster than your opponent. You're just trying to keep them always 1 less than you. And that's your whole game, is I'm going to play 6 rounds, 1 less than you.
But you're always going to be playing without priority, so you're going to be losing models quickly.
Yeah. And also don't forget that when people get dazed, they don't basically contest anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just bringing like a swarm list, then yeah, I don't know that you'll actually continue to outscore them, because you're going to have to actually daze people.
That, and I mean, what you're talking about, criminals can do kind of what you're talking about pretty good, because they can go do that. Like the last turn they just move. Like the last turn of a round, they can just step on the objective and they're like, I'm worth 2. Ha! You're only worth 1. I mean, and they can get a bunch of points like that, and you can also go kind of swarmy with them too. Like their models aren't expensive. They're just not that fast, and they don't have very much power. So you better hope you're grabbing all the objectives, because you're not hurting your enemy. You're going to grab some shit and run away and try and be dodgy. I think anything that's trying to avoid conflict and not taking models to kind of deal with it is probably not going to be the best, just because you're going to be missing out on priority, and you're going to be taking it like in the face, losing models quickly, probably, because everybody has such like access now to pay 2 and move a model. Like they'll get your models back. Like there's just easy ways to do it now. Like you can try and run away, but they'll just come and get you back. Like, come like over here. Like I'll throw this building at you, and now you're dead.
So, okay, so like throw the building at you, now you're dead kind of stuff. Like those models are super scary models that you should expect, like Magneto type models, right? You should expect to remove them. But when your Magneto list is outnumbered, like by 2 or 3 models, can you actually win that game on objective? We've talked about how the weakness of the 3 character list or the 2 character list is objective play. Like if you get, objective that doesn't agree with you, you can just lose so quickly because your opponent plays the objective and you struggle to. So I guess my question is, like, it seems as if the list I'm describing, the one that is always better, always just getting 1 more objective point than your opponent, is really good against the really big scary models, and it's also really good against a bunch of swarm models that are trying to hurt me. Like, if you're playing Guardians of the Galaxy and you're trying to beat up your opponent's model with a numerical advantage because you have a great premium of models, those models are not removing 3-pointers every turn. Like, if Drax isn't hurt, he's not removing a 3-point model on his activation. Nebula might be able to, but she's like one of the hardest hitting characters in Guardians. Against somebody who has an objective token. So if your opponent's playing a low model count, you're winning because you're playing objective. If your opponent's playing high model count, you're winning because you're ignoring them and they can't kill you fast enough. I was just thinking about the pace of the game, thinking about I think Criminals is a great way to do this exact tactic that I'm imagining, because they can just say, Quicksilver, go over there. I get that point. It doesn't matter what you were doing. Is that now a way to play? I did not think it was a way to play, 6 months ago. I didn't think there was enough models that would let you do that. Maybe 8 months ago. But now that we've got Enchantress and we've got Miles and we've got Quicksilver and we've got it's starting to build, starting to get big can we expect that? Can we expect that kind of play to appear? And is that going to be really dominating because it's good against both kinds of other lists you might see?
I don't know that it's good versus both kinds of lists. So the list you're describing is basically like a medium model count, like pile of models that are good at scenario, right?
Yeah. So you're probably you're looking at 4 to 5 models probably, and you want all of them to be really strong at scenario. It'd be awesome if they fit into something like criminals. I don't know if they can. Probably not, because criminals.
Yeah, I don't think
are not
that's
gonna fit
possible. You're at minimum taking 3 criminal models. Like,
Yeah, that's not probably not possible.
there's not 3 scenario criminal models. There's not. I mean, I'm trying to imagine this list, like, just so I can picture it. Like, walk me through the models you're talking about. So we've got.
I think Enchantress, Quicksilver, probably like Scarlet Witch makes sense. Not Scarlet Witch, sorry, Black Widow.
All right, so we got Black Widow, Enchantress,
Mhm.
Miles.
Yep. Quicksilver.
Hmm.
Let me look at the list of MCP models. Probably Black Panther, maybe on the outside. He's 4 points though, but he's really good at this. Shuri makes sense.
Okay.
Lockjaw makes sense.
Why is he good at scenario? I'm just asking.
He is really good for scenarios where you can only move once. He can make something move twice, and placing is strong. Also, if somebody has an objective token and they're about to die, he can teleport them away. You can't actually get him because he teleports them out when you're killing him. So you devote a lot of energy to somebody to kill him because they have the objective token, and Lockjaw just says nope, yoink. And now not only are they saved and you keep your objective token, but now they're also safe. So Lockjaw's just one more fuck you. You don't get my token back.
Sounds like the list that you're trying to build would be best utilized on a scenario that only has 1 extract. Do you agree, or does that make sense? Because it usually,
It does.
like, the act of stealing the objectives from people is usually so costly power-wise that you would want it to be worth more than 1 scenario
Right.
point. Especially when you're usually not going to have enough power to get in and get back out.
Also, like the point of the list is not to score 5. The point of the list is to
Mhm.
just score 1 more, and so it makes sense that you just have less options for your opponent, right? Give
Yeah.
less options for your opponent to score 1. Oh, basic Spider-Man also probably.
All right, so we've got Enchantress, Black Widow, Miles, Peter, Black Panther, Shuri, Kingpin, Quicksilver. That is, in fact, not a list. But it is probably closest to Wakanda, being that you could basically just throw in Okoye and be playing Wakanda. Or you could throw in Killmonger. Gives you access for another victory point card, technically, but you probably wouldn't go that route. Yeah, I don't know. I think that people play similar things to this list right now. I don't know that it's actually good versus the super elite list, because if you're not scoring enough points to end the game early, you will eventually lose to that amount of offense. You might do really well against like the more swarmy lists, but I mean, Wakanda's pretty much the most swarmy list we see on a regular basis, I think.
I wonder if you could also do Web Warriors, because I think Ghost Spider would fit in there, and then like the 3 Web Warriors, Lockjaw, and Quicksilver. That'd be annoying as hell. Like,
yeah, and Shuri is already put in Web Warriors a lot.
yeah. So like the option to put in Shuri, Lockjaw, and Quicksilver in there would be so annoying. Like, so annoying.
I mean, this is fairly close to our podcast list we built way
Right.
back when.
I guess that maybe I'm not breaking any new ground here. Maybe I'm just like, yeah, of course, duh. Maybe that's the non-argument I'm making.
I mean, yeah, everybody, I think everyone actively playing this game right now, because there's such an emphasis on scenario play, is intentionally trying to get as much of a scenario edge as they can. I don't know that there's a lot of people completely selling out for it. because I think they always have a backup plan. I think it's a good idea to have a backup plan. I don't know that literally sacrificing any chance at winning the game in any other manner is a good idea.
Okay. That answers my question then.
Because it'd be like, what's the value of taking Kingpin over Venom at that point, right? Like, is he that much better at scenario that Venom is, like, worth the trade out? I know some people think that's yes, but...
Jeremy, you've also played a lot. Do you feel like you should have a backup plan, or can you just play one game and plan on winning?
I mean, what you're talking about is great, except the other half of the game, your opponent has thought about how they want to win the game, and they're probably not going to let you do your plan. Because they've thought, okay, these are the crises that work for my team, and these are the things I'm going to play. So just as soon as you're like, okay, I can do my piece, and then they drop some sort of deadly meteors or hell, Gamma. I mean, because the team you're talking about isn't going to play well on Gamma. They'll just die.
Right.
They'll just die. They'll get pushed off, and you'd lose. So
Gamma, Demons, or Herbs would all be pretty bad.
So
Herbs actually might not be terrible for you if you can set it up just right, but they're going to do everything they can to stop you.
So yeah, and they'll see also, like, you don't have any of the big hitters. That's interesting. So they'll choose their list based on what you have, even though, you've got a pretty good plan on what you're doing. Their plan also is very strong, regardless.
It's almost always true, unless the game is unbalanced, that if someone has a generalist all-comer setup, and you walk in with one option, you're generally at a disadvantage unless the game is unbalanced. Like, if you go in, it's like, all right, well, I'm going to do my one thing, and your opponent isn't also doing one thing, usually you're at a disadvantage, which is why Menoth in War Machine was always a problem matchup, because War Machine had devolved to the one planned lists agenda. Nobody brought generalist lists, but Menoth, because they were the denial faction, all they did was prevent abilities from working. They could play against anybody, and so you'd always run in, it's like, well, I'm going to do the assassination list, and then you're playing against, like, Harbinger or Sevi or High Reclaimer, you're like, well, fuck. Like, I'm never going to kill that guy. And so you have to, like, completely, like, knee-jerk your way into another strategy you have not prepared for. So I don't know that it would actively lower your chances of winning by completely selling out at this point, but I know that if you did it in a small meta for a decent amount of time, I think people would adjust to you really quickly.
That's true. Like, that's another thing. You'd get to do it a little bit, but unless you were traveling for something like who's doing traveling tournaments right now?
It's like the first time you saw the Magneto Strange list. You're like, I don't know how to play against this, and then people realized the answer was run away from them.
Yeah,
it's like literally force them to separate. That's the only way.
No, you go straight at them. That's the best way.
Yeah,
close
that's
the gap.
That's what Jeremy kept doing.
Close the gap.
Jeremy tried the turtle approach where he just hides in a corner and waits for them to get there, and he tried the go right at them. Neither of those worked.
There was one other thing I tried. I tried to bring them all the hammers.
Yeah. What if I deliver? I do a hammer delivery service. What happens then? Not good things.
But it definitely is worthwhile, like, putting the list together and playing it and just seeing how you feel about it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you will go, you know what, this is cool, I like this idea, but Web Warriors has more synergy and kind of does that. So you probably just end up landing on Web Warriors or Wakanda. I mean, both of them can do it really well. Whereas you have with the other side of the coin, what if I just want to murder everybody? And you're like, okay, maybe I'll take Cabal or Brotherhood. Like, they can murder the shit out of people. So both sides is nice. And I think that's where the game kind of lands comfortably, and you can play the game on any side of the tracks. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that there's any list, regardless of how hard you try, has a combination of missions that's not great for them. And so even if you're doing Web Warriors, Wakanda, Black Order, whatever it happens to be, there is a combination of missions that's not good for you.
Yeah, that's actually I think the big equalizer. And that's when you said, like, unless the game is imbalanced, that was more or less my question to start this whole thing off. Is the game imbalanced right now, so that is it starting to be imbalanced by characters now that is there a critical mass of characters that imbalance the objective game? But the answer to that is that's not the only thing you get to choose in this game, right? You don't get to just play with the characters. It's not a square board full of characters. It's a square board with objectives that some characters that are really good at objectives just don't do anything to. They do absolutely jack and shit. So,
and remember, I think it's also important to remember that it's not a one player turn game. It's a shared turn or shared round.
right.
And so you having 5 characters that do X isn't actually that important if they don't get to go, or if your opponent breaks up your chain. Because like you're talking about I'll just use the dog to save my character with the extraction. It's like, well, if Miles goes in or Enchantress goes in, steals the objective, like the power core from somebody, and you're like, well, the dog will save me. It's like, well, the dog doesn't get to go yet. And if you're playing last minute save, what happens when they use like Loki or MODOK to move you out of range of the dog and then just kill you, or move the dog out of range, or kill the dog first, or like there's a bunch of bad stuff that can happen.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think that it is I think it's a decent like legitimate strategy, but I don't think it is a overpowered strategy, I guess is what I'm trying to
No,
say. And I
a
think-
bunch of good 3-point models doing what 3-point models do, and 2-point models is obnoxious as shit. Like, that's a lot of dudes running around. And again, it still lands on most of that is what Web Warriors do, like, kind of.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah, Web Warriors do it with like a mix of 3s and 4s, but Wakanda is probably more focused around the lots of cheap characters.
mhm.
Or Guardians. Like Guardians, like that's basically all they do is they run around with efficient characters.
But Guardians don't displace. I think that's the big problem. Like, they don't
Yeah.
displace anything.
Guardians don't have board control. That's a big part of their lacking. What was I gonna say? I had something. I was thinking about the number of characters people play with, and that brought a thought to my mind, and then we talked about something else for a second, I forgot.
Ruined.
Yeah, I know, right?
I like the
Because-
idea of always trying to put a list together that every model takes more threat to deal with than your opponents. Like, an example of that would be either a Koye
Mm.
or what's that guy?
Drax.
Drax. Yeah, like any of the models that take more than their value to deal with.
It's basically the efficiency list where it's like
Yeah.
everything I have is like a 3.5 point model or a 2.5 point model, and I'm just playing them because they're better than they should be for their value. And yeah, you just basically play the cheap army. But what I was gonna say, I remember now. When you play a bunch of like 2 and 3 point characters, and anyone who's played enough games knows, you can just randomly get deleted sometimes when you don't have like defensive special rules at all, and you don't have like high defense dice. Like anyone running around, like I think that's really the division between 3 and 4 point models. Is very few 3 point models have defensive rules, and so they're actually not really protected from like getting one shotted. And so you'll be running around with like 5 or 6 cheap characters that have 5 hit points and 3 defense dice, and you just randomly will just get tagged and fall down. And you're like, well, new plan.
That and the difference between 5 health and 6 doesn't seem like anything, but man, it's a big difference.
So really hard
It's a
to do
huge
6 damage.
Yeah,
Because most people don't even roll 6 dice, so it's the odds of doing 6 hits is so astronomically
Mhm.
low. Oh man, I don't have my my tablet here. I would actually pull up the math. Alrighty. So that's going to move us on to our main topic today. We're going to do our choosing favorites segment, where we come up with a topic in the game and we each choose our favorite one in the game. So today we're going to choose between crisis cards. So we're going to see what everyone's favorite crisis is today. I thought this was a timely choice for segments because recently we lost a crisis card to the restricted list.
Dun dun dun.
No.
Fatality.
It's like stealing.
So we need to pick a crisis, our favorite.
Yep. Yeah, each of you will secretly pick a crisis that is your favorite to play in the game.
And we reveal randomly.
Then we'll talk about and we'll
Have you
Well,
picked
we
know
all-
why it's our favorite.
We all shuffle we shuffle the 3 crises into a pile, and then
Okay.
Jeremy picks 1 to remove.
I will pick 1 to remove, and then we will organize them by height.
Yeah.
So let's see, what's the normal order we do? Me, Jeremy, Parker? That's what we've been doing for ratings because Parker usually reads, so then we go
Mhm.
around. All right, so I'll go first unless you guys specifically want to go first. My favorite scenario is Gamma Wave. And the reason it's my favorite scenario is because I like killing people, and in Gamma Wave you get to stab people a lot with swords. But also, it's not just a dead scenario like a lot of people think. Like Wakandan Herbs is a dead scenario. It's actually quite live on scenario. It just forces people to play at extremely close ranges, and I like that fast-paced, bloody game style. And so I actually win a lot of my games on Gamma by scenario, but I do like playing the super tightly packed missions.
The thing about Gamma is it can get out of control quickly,
Mhm.
for good or bad, however you're looking
Yeah.
at it. It's the most scoring scenario you can possibly play. Like it's one that games get blown out on.
Yeah.
You just got to
Yeah,
watch it.
Gamma tends to be very one-sided one way or the other. And it's not just because people don't know how to play it. It's usually you go with a solid plan, but it's one of the few scenarios you can win on scenario by being very good at attrition play. Because when the clash happens, whoever comes out ahead after that first exchange now has a scenario advantage, and they can press that scenario advantage.
And that's
What do you
where
think,
you'll
Parker?
see you see Shuri a lot of times pop out for that one.
Yeah, Shuri's really good in that one as well. Parker, what do you think about Gamma Wave?
I think Gamma Wave's cool for exactly the reason you guys just said, which is it's a scrum kind of crisis, but also if you have control tricks, you're not like doing nothing, because that's one of the things about like if you're trying to play a brawling kind of list. If your opponent has nothing but control models, it could be a really lame interaction on some scenarios. They just feel like the control models do nothing. But Gamma, actually, they can contribute. They'll move them away from the scenario, of course, which is improving your ability to win the long game. But you're also doing damage by pushing them outside into the damaging areas. So I think that's cool that control characters or characters that do some damage while they're controlling, like Black Panther, can get some extra use out of the scenario, which I think is cool. I think it's a cool scenario because I think any hazard, like area hazard based mission in any game is good. Like it's a good idea.
We used to play cubes with this a lot because cubes were really popular in the early game because there's only 4 extracts. And so a lot of times you would get into playing cubes and one guy would go up a flank, usually like Black Widow or somebody, pick up 2 cubes and then run towards the middle to try and stay alive. And then they get like Shuri pushes them out, and then they take 3 damage and die, and you're like, God damn it! Like this is annoying. It was very fun. All right.
One more
yeah.
thing on that one. I really like that one, and I would have picked it, but it does have the downside of sometimes you'll get set up if you don't have priority. You'll pick that, put it down, and then your opponent won't choose a big points. They'll choose the little points on you because it's 15, right?
Yeah, game is 15.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I don't mind playing 15. I build every one of my lists to have a solid 15-point core because I like Gamma so much. So I know Gamma is going to be in my selection, and so I always make sure I have a plan.
It's super popular too, so I mean everyone should.
Yeah. All right, so Jeremy, what was your mission of choice?
I chose Terrigen Clouds. I like that it's new, and it's very static. It splits the table straight in half, which I like. That way nobody's wadded up and fighting over the same thing. And if you've got more brawly models than the other opponent, then all of a sudden you just lose. Yeah, it makes you think, makes you figure out how to divide your list up and what you have to do. And it also has at the end of the round, you get to move things and it changes locations and you do damage and stuff. It's just kind of cool. I like it a lot. I think it's cool.
Okay. Parker, what's your thoughts on Terrigen Cloud Sweep over City?
That's the one that puts off poisonous, right? That's the status effect you get.
Yeah, it's if you end up within one of the token after it's moved, you take a damage and poison.
I like anything if it's like I said, I like hazards. I think hazards are it's not just what's the best way to put it? It creates a dimension to the game that is just missing if there's not a hazard, right? If there's nothing to care about where you're standing other than just to be close enough to it to score. If you're also wondering, okay, how can I deal with this hazard and play the game? I think that's an extra layer of strategy that makes the game more interesting. I personally do not like when the game board is divided in half. I don't like that because it's a C deployment, right? It's the ones in the on the center line.
It's C deployment, so it's the center line, but then there's no middle objective.
Oh.
So it's only the outsides.
Ugh, I hate that.
And that's why I love it.
So the interesting thing, though, because I don't know that a lot of people have thought that much about it, or at least newer players haven't, is the secure mission is the one that's actually going to determine the layout of the match. A lot of people seem to think, for some reason, they first get into this game, that the extraction layout matters beyond the first turn. And it doesn't. Those things go away instantly, and then you're fighting around the secure mission. And so choosing a secure mission that's beneficial to your list is very important. I think the problem you're running into, Parker, is the same thing I was doing initially. You build lists that want to just bottle up into like a little like phalanx and move around, but that doesn't work on this because you have to divide your force. There are affiliations that really want to do that, though. Like Asgard is amazing if you force them to split, because they almost always have 4 characters and they work really well in pairs. And so it's a list that lends itself really well to splitting up. And so I think it's more of like a list building decision than just something to hate.
Yeah, I've usually yeah, I could see that. I could see
like
how
Avengers
you're
is the
planning
perfect example. They hate splitting up. Yeah,
right. They can't stand it. And so it's generally when I'm building lists, I'm usually building them like I build War Machine lists. Right. I'm thinking of my big core that's going to go do the hardest fighting, and then I'll probably have something in there that can leave the core and go do something else. Like Black Panthers are great. Like, go off and fix this, Black Panther. But Black Panther can't go off and fix this, against my opponent's half of their army. That's not going to work. Yeah. So I do not mind C deployments where there's 3 points. That doesn't bug me, actually. I don't mind. It doesn't bug me where I see the I'm going to divide my opponent's going to be able to divide their force in half. Ugh. Then, of course, but I know factions like Web Warriors can divide in half really easily. They have, cool little modules that kind of go together. Guardians can divide in half very easily. There are lots of factions that do, but kind of like I said earlier, I'll have to play another faction. Gross.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing I wanted to ask about your choice here, so Terrigen Cloud sweep over City, is there a reason you didn't choose Mayor Fisk Vows to Find Missing Witnesses over Terrigen? Because they're effectively the same scenario. Mayor Fisk is 16 points, Terrigen is 20. Is it just the higher point total?
I like the 20, and I also like that even if you're losing, you get to move the objective marker. So
they both do that.
They both do that?
Yeah, the whole moving the tokens thing is verbatim the same. The only differences in the mission are the point total, and the Mayor Fisk mission applies stun, and the Terrigen Clouds apply poison. Is the only difference. But the point total, I mean, those are the differences. So if you like one of those things more than the other, if you want to play 20 over 16, Terrigen makes a lot of sense, obviously. Because I know you've been playing a lot of Thanos lately, so 20 points is what he wants to do.
Yeah. So it would be the point total then in that sense.
That's fair. I almost chose Mayor Fisk as my favorite mission, but Terrigen I think is starting to creep up above it because I also like playing high points.
Stun is such a kick in the nuts, man.
Right, but the difference is, so Terrigen affects them guaranteed because it happens in the control phase, so it's going to immediately impact them in the next power-up phase, unless you daze them with the 1 damage. And so Mayor Fisk applying stun is really annoying, but then you have to attack them for it to matter. And as you saw, sometimes they're over on a flank by themselves, and them getting stun doesn't really matter. Alrighty. So Parker, you are up for what mission you chose.
I actually chose Demons Downtown as our comeuppance come due. And it's for the same. It's funny that we've talked a lot about breaking up your force. I really like this one. I like 19 points. First of all, I think it's a really fun way to play. Most factions get to play their tricks in it. You get to bring your 1 5-point character you want to bring, and then several 4s and a 3 or more 3s. I really like that you get to bring at least 4 characters that are awesome. Usually 5 characters that are awesome. And so I like 19 points. A lot of the builds that I want to play, I want all the characters that I want to play at the same time, and so I like 19. Then of course it's another E deployment. I love scrums in the middle as well. Although this one is a really slow scorer, so far all the games I've played just generally they take all the way to turn 6, and I've enjoyed that. I have enjoyed that games keep going and going and going. I've also been playing like a very grindy attrition type style. When I played Guardians, it was with Ghost Rider and Ronin. When I played Avengers, it's all about the grind, and so Demons is perfect for the grind because your opponent can't blow you out with objectives very easily, and the fact that they're losing their defensive dice, you can let them take an objective early, and then you're going to take advantage of it because even though Avengers doesn't have a lot of super powerful models, if they have -1 defensive dice, they're going to get up on top of that attrition even that much faster, utilizing their powerful defense. So basically, I've found that Cap having 5 defensive dice doesn't make him die, but
no, I think that Demons Downtown was a meta changing scenario when it first came out. I think it was my favorite at the time. It's pretty great to have a scenario where if again forces everyone to the middle, you get to play higher points, but it's also very hard to win a scenario off of Demons because with a maximum 3 points from Secure, unless your opponent is just completely dominating on Extract, it's almost impossible to win that earlier than turn 5. Jeremy, do you have any thoughts on Demons?
I actually hate it.
Oh yeah?
I hate being incinerated. I hate the stall of it. It's just so goddamn slow.
You know what helps with the Incinerate, though? When both players forget about Incinerate until turn 5. That happens a lot.
That is nice.
Because for the longest time, it was the only way to get incinerated. And so everybody just forgot it was a thing. So we'd play Demons and turn 4 rolls around. You're like, shit, we haven't been doing Incinerate this entire time. Or someone always forgets because it's not an effect. It's not a big deal. It happens and you move on.
I would much rather play Gamma. The 1 point swing, whatever, it's so ugh. You try to get an inch and you don't get anything. You get 1, maybe 2, maybe.
Yeah, more often than not, you're better suited just not getting within range 1 and just attacking. Point. Just don't move in. Just yeah, you can have it. I'm just gonna punch you. He's like, why are you hitting me? I'm just standing here on this barrel on fire. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a really good example of you can go just tilt your whole list towards objective and then get really punished by the other half of the game, which is scenarios. This is one of those it's going to be really difficult for your opponent to expect to score 5 on a turn with this scenario in play. It's even going to be harder if they've sold out for objectives and you brought something combat worthy and they don't have that same kind of combat prowess. It's going to be so difficult to remove your models unless they have a lot of control, and they're going to have a lot of control. So I like that there is a crisis card in the game that slows the game way down if that's what you want.
Mm-hmm. We all did choose Secures. We went 3 for 3 on Secures. Do you think that means anything? Do you think Secures are just more interesting than Extracts?
Well, we know that Secures are where the game is played, right? That's where you're actually at on the table. But we were looking these up, so I would like to throw an additional one here, and just so we talk about it for a second, because it's really
my honorable mention was going to be Mayor Fisk. So you go ahead with your honorable mention.
So I have an honorable mention because it's the only one like it. It's the only one like this. Spider Infected has 5. There's 5 extracts. So someone can have.
It's not the only one with 5.
Is it? What? I thought there was just 1. What's the other one?
Cube.
Oh
Cube.
God.
Cubes.
Okay. So the ones that have 5.
The one we mentioned immediately before this.
Whatever. How long has it been? I haven't played cubes in forever. I totally forgot it existed.
So Deployment F is the one that has 5, and so
Gotcha.
there are, I believe, just 2 currently. Yeah, just 2.
And cubes hurt you, right? Yeah, that's the one that does damage.
Yeah, you basically take an enemy damage at the start of the turn.
So any of them with 5, anyone with 5 cause that asymmetry, right? Somebody's going to get 3, somebody's going to get 2. So then the game becomes, how do you get that back, and not where you're positioning yourself on the board. You're actually fighting and struggling over cubes, struggle for the cube, or spider people, which is cool. That's a cool concept. It's not even whoever's got the, is more aggressive or has planned a little better.
Yeah. Cubes for Spider or for Web Warriors is kind of odd because Web Warriors don't generally want to take free damage, but it gets them an additional power, which is actually really good. And so it's kind of like riding the lightning, right? Like you're getting the power you need to use your cool abilities, but you're reducing your already low health values just maybe a little too much. And so it's really scary, but it can pay off. I don't know. But yeah, I think the only people wanting to play those 5 objective point scenarios are going to be people really desperate to win on scenarios quickly as possible, which Spider Infected is probably the more popular for those people. And then the second one being people like the Asgardians who can abuse the interaction. Because with cubes, the Asgardians can basically just decide if they want to take the damage or not, because they can just spend the power to heal the damage back. And so they can outlast people with cubes. Because if your opponent picks up 3 cubes and you pick up 2, you can kind of just wait them out, because eventually they'll fall down and you won't. And then you can go take all the secures, which you're already so good at holding. And so I think cubes is a really strong scenario for Asgard, but maybe not so good for people like Web Warriors. Parker, did you have an honorable mention mission?
I did. My honorable mention is Mutant Extremists target U.S. senators, and the reason why is I like all of the flip ones. I like all of the flip ones where you're flipping and you have a random chance. I think the randomization is kind of interesting. It means that this game, no 2 games look exactly the same. I like that. I like the idea that I can play a flip type scenario 3 times and expect very different outcome each time, as opposed to I know where these 5 cubes are going to be always, so I'll just set up my game of solitaire and you'll lose. So I like that Senators doesn't let that happen. So I like all the flip ones. But the reason why I like this one in particular is because it's 14 points. I think this one is actually a really interesting one to build a list around. If you are when you get priority, you usually go blue because you want to set up the game board that's beneficial for your list. But if you want to, you could go red because it's 14 points. And 14 points could be really uncomfortable for some of your opponent's rosters. If you found a list that you just really love, it just super gels at 14 points, but you just look across the rest of the game and you're like, man, I don't know what other list is going to compete with me at 14 points. Also, it's super hammering if your opponent brought something like Black Order. Like, what do they do at 14 points? It becomes so difficult for them to deal with that. If you see an opponent, Magneto or Doctor Strange and multiple stones, and you're like, I want them to have to play only 2 models, or 2 or 3 models, I want that to be something they have to do, then now you have that. So I'm not saying that it's always beneficial. Maybe you get burned by it, but if you are planning on playing at 14 points, that might be something that chokes an opponent's options.
Yeah. So you said you like the flip missions, but is that you don't like the ones where you have to roll dice to determine what something is? Because I just want to point out that Mutant Extremist is the only one where there's no dice rolling.
Oh, I thought the other ones...
No, so the Mutant Extremist, there's 3 objective tokens. One of them is the Senator.
Right.
The other 2 are decoys. When you flip them over, they go away, period.
I thought Alien...
So there's only 3 total checks that happen. The Mutant Extremist target U.S. Senator, when you check one, you turn it over. It's either a Senator or a hideout. If it's a hideout, you throw it away. If it's a Senator, you throw away the hideouts and pick up the Senator.
Right, it's process of elimination.
I like this one because you only have to check it 3 times at the most.
Right.
As where, like, Alien Ship, we've gotten into turn 4, and you still haven't found the damn thing, and we spent all of our power trying to find it, and it really drags the game out.
Yeah.
And so I don't like it those times, but I do like U.S. Senators because we're literally racing for it. As where there's a strategy in, like, Alien Ship and Scrolls where I'm just going to let my opponent waste power trying to find the scroll, and I'm just going to beat him to death while that's happening. Or, like, I'm going to go for the secures and just ignore the extracts, and he just basically hope luck wins the game for me.
As long as you have Enchantress, it doesn't matter. You just wait.
Right, because you can just set up to steal it once they find it. Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point. For some reason, I thought that I don't know why I thought that. I forgot that you had to roll the crit for the other ones. I really like this kind of setup because it's gonna make the game different every time you play it, but I do not think it feels nearly as punishing. Also, if you set up, you were talking about like splitting up your force. If you set up your list to be able to get to 3 places at once, or be sure to get to 2 places at once, and then you just, you're playing the odds, 30% chance that you didn't pick the wrong one. I think
the only problem being that the person going first has a big advantage on senators, because they're going to get to check. They're going to get to check the first time, so there's a 1 in 3 chance they just get it and there's nothing you can do.
Right.
And there's a 2 in 3 chance that they're going to get it and there's nothing you can do. Unless you have like a double activation like Proxima and Corvus. I was going to say to Jeremy, if your opponent does that thing with like either Miles or Enchantress where they just kind of camp out one of the, like, waiting for you to find the real objective, because it isn't necessarily anywhere and it's just a die roll, you can just move away from them and go check the ones far away from them. And so if they're like hanging out in the middle, you go to the very outsides of the objectives and then you start checking those, because you'll force them to move further to go get it from you. As we're on the Senators, it is where it is, you have to go find it. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I need to check the middle one because I already checked the left one. He's like, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
Because they're just representative tokens. Do any of you guys think you would have chosen Evacuation if it wasn't restricted?
Yep.
You would have? Is that one of your favorite missions?
It is. It definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked Evacuation.
Is it just because it was simple? And it didn't, like, fuck with you in any way? Because a lot of the civilian tokens fuck with you.
I liked it because if you didn't have a strong presence for the blue, you could always play for the extracts instead, and do well enough with your point totals to still win. And it was simple, and if you planned your turns correctly, things happened as they should. I like that. You're like, okay, I'll cash this in eventually, or it just played. It played interesting in that you could do different things with it. I like everything about it.
Yeah, the player with priority might have had too much power in that mission, I'm thinking, because not only do they get to effectively start with 2 or 3 of the extracts, probably 3 if you can set it up right, and then also getting priority, getting to go first and possibly extract one before they had the opportunity to daze your character that had it is also really strong. But yeah, it's effectively banned at this point because I don't know who's going to burn a restricted slot on a mission card that you might not even get to use.
Yep. And I mean, without Hired Muscle, I don't know that it's that big of a deal, but, maybe it is.
This is it's kind of interesting. This is one of those scenarios that when you first read it, or especially when you're first playing the game, it seems like the really honest one. Like, oh, this is the really simple, honest one. And then after you play it a little bit, and with and you're like, oh, wait, you can be a real asshole. Like, you could just go. Yeah, if you can do some quick arithmetic on turn 3, you can just be like, wait a minute, extract. Okay, I win. And you're like, what do you mean you win? You're like, well, I just realized that you can't possibly win if I just. I think it's it's not that you could just do that. You had to put a lot of effort into abusing that mission, I think. Like, it's not just like, ooh, I did math, so I win. It's like you had to build a list around it. You had to basically completely commit to one strategy for the entire game. And then, yeah, it's possible that you can abuse the mission. But I don't even know that it works all the time. Because you have to have enough power to do it? You
have to have enough power to, but you also have to overextend to get their tokens. And you have to not get punished for it. And so your opponent has to not know that they need to take advantage of you overextending to get the extra token. Because if you both end up with 2, how are you like abusing the system, right? And so you need to go get one of theirs on the first turn. And like if you're in the situation where it's like, well, I have a bunch of long movers and he doesn't, so I'm going to go try and get his objectives first. And he doesn't know how to properly abuse that. Like, you need to set up people that will threaten characters that double move to take your close tokens on the first turn. And if your opponent hasn't done that before, they don't position thinking that you're going to cross the table to get their tokens, and they don't have the ability to go get your tokens, is when they get into this really bad spot, because you'll end up with 3, and if they don't have their combat models in position to punish you for doing that, because you're one really exposed model, then you're just going to get out scot-free next turn and have 3 of the tokens, which means after 2 turns, you've racked up 6 points to their 2, and now you extracting the 3 tokens is actually like insurmountable, because you scored like 12 points off 3 extracts, which isn't supposed to be possible.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that it's only really abused when you have like a disparity in experience on this specific scenario, which is also like hired muscle on the Mayor Fist mission was just unfair. It's one thing if it affects 1 extract token, maybe 2 extract tokens, but when you're going against someone on the Mayor Fist mission, you can just play it to move a secure, which is totally different than moving an extract token, right? So, yeah, you can just wait till the end of the round, play it, and it's a 4-point swing. And a 4-point swing in a scenario for 1 power is just silly.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I've never thought of this before, but I like all the scenarios that extend the game out. Like, I don't mind winning by scenario, but I usually like winning by scenario after my opponent's already dead or like ineffective. And I'm thinking back to the way I played War Machine. It was exactly the same way. Like, I very rarely played a scenario focused game. I was always keeping an eyeball on scenario as a win condition, but usually I got scenario in addition to already winning the attrition game. Yeah, which is basically the way I'm playing this one too.
The way War Machine happened was defeat their army and then accomplish victory. And so basically what you would happen is your armies would meet, you would attempt to gain the upper hand and defeat your opponent's army enough to where it was basically a done deal. And then you're like, all right, now how do I end the game? And you'd be like, all right, I'm going to go kill his leader, or I'm going to go over here and score enough points, or I'm going to let him run out of time, trying to dig himself out of this hole. And so like those were the 3 win conditions is time, assassination, and scenario. But first thing we always did was the armies meet in the middle. Let's go. And and once you have accomplished supremacy, now let's make the game end. Or maybe sometimes your opponent would just leave.
Do you think Parker, you want to get to turn 6 so you can make sure every model shoots its gun and every model does every ability?
Everybody who, when they first play an RTS, wants to build the max size army of all of their favorite units and slowly just squeegee the board away. And just like, go away, bad guys. And it's like, you're outside their main base, and you have to remax just to make sure it's as one-sided as possible. Anyone who doesn't do that, I don't trust.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't trust you as a human, like, around children, unless you have done this in an RTS.
I am...
And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with miniature games. The first several times you play a matchup, you're like, all right, can I win this? All right, I'm ahead. All right, let's destroy them. Like, that's how you have to accomplish victory in every possible way. You have to kill all your guys while scoring to 16, and your time runs out on my time somehow. Like, that's how we win.
Yeah, I'm in this game, because of the way this game's worked. Actually, I feel like it kind of has to happen that way in this game because the model count is so small. Generally speaking, because I'm trying to stop you from winning scenario, because the games I've played so far, I've been playing from behind most of the time. My opponent has been able to get up on the objective early, and I'm playing from behind, but I'm setting myself up with a crisis card. Yeah, I'm setting myself up with the crisis cards to make sure I can do that, because I know enough about the game to be like, I'm making sure this is going to be slow enough for me to come back. So, generally speaking, I'm on top of the objective while I'm killing them, because that's where they are. They didn't have enough models to be anywhere else. So, it's not like I have to work really hard out of my way to get the scenario and to also beat them up, because it's usually happening in the same place, because I pick the crisis card to let me do that. So, I feel like...
Well, I mean, the fight was always going to happen on the points, right?
Right.
Like, it always was, because one of you was going to be standing there.
Yeah. So... I think I'm definitely going to, in every miniatures game I've ever played, eventually I got bored with that style of just, I want to grind out every turn and see every, like you said, Jeremy, I want to shoot every gun and use every ability once. I want to be super efficient to make sure it happens without upkeep spells or -1 because, it's Avengers. And I want everything super efficient for a long period of time. I got past that in every game I've ever played. And I've been like, oh, what if I just push this button really hard? and I rode this, to the victory. And I'll get there eventually, but I haven't seen that yet. I haven't got there yet. So I like my F deployments. Give me my F deployments. Let's take this shit to 6 rounds. And Jerry Miller just loved playing me in games every time.
How does F deployments make you go extra rounds?
Oh, sorry, not F. E. Sorry, E. I misspoke.
There you go.
I
was
misspoke.
like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I misspoke, not F. E.
Parker, your probation continues.
I was gonna ask you, in kind of a side chat, is he still on probation? Because he should be.
Probation.
And I'm glad that. Okay, you just said it. That's fine then. I would like to see, just playing that scenario thing the other day. I think it'd be really cool if there was some more missions that did you have a thing, go get it, and then bring it back to actually score something. And there's nothing like that in the game right now.
I don't think they plan on doing asymmetrical missions in normal play. They do plan on that happening in narrative events. And so we know that there was several things upcoming that we didn't understand, and now that we've played the Vibranium Heist, they make a lot more sense. So there is I believe there's a Magneto Ultimate Encounter coming, but there's also a Sentinel Raid mission, which is, I think, going to be a lot like Vibranium Heist, where there's like an attacker and a defender. One guy's playing the Sentinels, one guy's playing the good guys, and you're trying to accomplish this very complex scenario that isn't doable as part of a crisis, right? Because if you're only one, like, you can't do a Sentinel Raid as a red card, right? Because that'd be way too complicated for one half of the crisis.
I think it would be just being able to get an extract and take it to a point. Just that whole concept of, like, you're not taking it, move. No, you're not doing that.
That you have to go get an extract and bring it somewhere. If only we had a deployment that is specifically that there's only one mission for.
That's just one, though.
Yeah, it is just one. Well, but we know the deployment, so if there's going to be more missions like that, it's going to be on deployment A, which stands for a piece of shit.
I know it's your favorite.
Yeah, because B is for box, C is for center, D is for diamond, F is for 5, because it looks like the 5 side of a D6, and then A is for a piece of shit.
A piece of shit. Albatross. It's for albatross.
Yeah, A is for ass fuck. Like, it's like, go kill yourself. Who wants to set up... Like, first of all, it's complicated, because there's a lot of measurements that just are dumb. And then on top of that, there's 2 fucking extracts right next to each other. Which one is the vault? Which one is the extract? Which one is for whom?
I don't know.
You say whom when it's the last thing you say, right? And who when it's not? That's the difference?
Parker's a teacher.
Right, Parker?
I don't know what to tell you.
Parker, is that correct?
Say it again.
You say who when it's not the last word in a sentence, but if it is the last word in a sentence, you say whom, right? Parker's face. It's
see
like,
how,
what the fuck
how
are
fast,
you talking about?
How fast my face just went to immediately, no!
It's like someone just force-fed you a lemon in a dirty sock. And you're like,
yeah, that was...
No!
That was so sour.
Want.
That was so sour so quick.
Yeah, he's like, get me out of here. Just kidding. I don't know when you use it. But I know it's not just when it's at the end of a sentence. Whom is when they own stuff? The English language is fucking stupid.
No. Possessive, the possessive form of who.
Yeah.
No, that's not that.
The form of who is
no,
whom.
It's not. It's not at all. It's not at all anyone listening to this.
We also teach.
The English language is so dumb.
It's about being an object. So if you're the object of the if it's basically the easy way to think about it is if who is could be replaced with he or she, that's correct. So he or she is who. If it's him or her, it's whom. So if you're saying he deserves it, it would be who deserves it.
So if someone comes and is like, who did you give the soda to? I would go, whom, and point.
No, that'd be him. No. No.
You said when it could be him.
No, you say
should use
no,
whom.
no. You say, did you give the soda to whom? That's what you do.
Whom did you give the soda to? And
To
I would
whom?
say whom
To
and
him,
point.
did you give the soda to? Is that how you make sense? No.
Did you give the soda to whom?
Yes. That would be the correct use of whom. Yes.
But that sounds so wrong.
It does, doesn't
No
it?
wonder
So-
no one uses this dumb word.
Yeah.
If you gave the soda to whom the person is
But what
under
if-
30 and a female, it could be a miss or yeah, it's a miss. And then there's a Mrs. or a Ms.
Means that
It's-
they've been promised
listen,
to a man.
Language is important, and English makes
But
sense.
what if the person's name is whom? Then you actually, yes, you do point and say whom.
Oh, that's really funny.
Dr. Whoem?
The person's name is whom.
Mm,
Oh, that's pretty good.
All
what a
right.
train wreck.
Mm-mm.
Parker, are you wearing a shirt that says you're a wide receiver? I'm trying to understand this shirt because I've seen you wear it the last 5 times I've seen you, and I don't understand what it means.
It's because you always see me on Wednesdays. This is
your Wednesday shirt?
it's
/ go to the store on a Saturday
it says
shirt?
Wednesday. It's Wednesday. No,
WR surrounded by X's means Wednesday?
no, it's the school.
I have been typing that wrong for so long.
It's the school. We at my middle school, you can wear your school shirt on Wednesdays, and so that's why I'm always wearing this on Wednesdays.
Do you go to school right now?
No, but I still dress up every day for.
They have
for
a dress
rowboating.
code for you sitting at home?
But no, they didn't tell me to. I just do it because it makes sense.
Oh. Well, who'em.
Whoem in the hell made that rule?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a
Whoem.
good question. I do not know the etymology of this. Now you got me interested.
But remember, all of these scenarios are assuming the person's name is who'em. When you tell us the answer.
This is
make
a
sure
house
you
of
get it right.
learning.
This is a house of learned doctors.
Learn it, doctor.
He just keeps saying he wants to go into the family business, but you're a medical doctor. I know.
No, listen to this. So, whom comes from an Old English Proto-Germanic word "huam,"
Oh God.
and here's the weird thing: the misuse of it for who and whom is dates all the way back to 1300. People were fucking this up 700
And
years. 700 years.
When it wasn't even English yet.
Yeah, they were misusing who and whom 800 years ago.
Well, it's good to know some things never change.
Oh, not 800. Sorry, 700 years ago.
Well, actually,
700
I'm
change.
I would be willing to bet that the misuse of who'em happens less now because nobody fucking says who'em.
That's probably true.
If I type W, it's the first word that comes up in my phone. Whoem.
Whom?
Your
Oh,
predictive
God, that
text.
reminds me.
Your predictive text just goes
Yes.
whom, right? You want whom?
Yeah.
Yes, I was just say yes.
The number one, whom?
You want whom?
No, this reminds me when we were at Adepticon one year and we were all going to like dinner. There's like 30 of us going to dinner because that always happens at cons. And I was writing with Spence and he was like, "Hey, message Chuck," because we were going with Chuck from Detroit. And he's like, "Message Chuck and see if we're going to this restaurant or the other one." And I start typing and he looks over and is like, "Do you ever just use suggestive text?" I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean?" It's like, just keep pressing the center word on your spell correct, even when you haven't typed anything yet, because it uses an algorithm for like the word you most commonly follow this word, the last word with, or if there's no words, just the most commonly used words you have. And I just did it for 3 paragraphs. I just sent this like full page text to him. That was it. It just like made a story. It was like, we once went on this long journey, and it was like it just went on this whole thing. It was like when like they use AI to make a Batman comic book or something, and but it was like us going to dinner, and it was so fucked up and weird. I sent it to him, and he just immediately messaged me back, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And we all ended up at the right restaurant, so it worked.
Go predictive text.
Yeah, it knew what we wanted.
The
Thanks,
answer-
Brave new
Siri.
world.
The answer to this email, and I am sure that I can come to your house for the help of a family.
Yeah, it was like that. It was a lot of that.
Yep, that's what I got.
You can tell you get emails a lot.
I guess. Guess.
All right. Well, you should probably wrap this up. This is basically just screaming at this point.
Have you looked up our total listeners and whatnot in a while? We have like 7 now.
I think we're up to 8.
I try to listen like each one twice.
Just so you're aware, that definitely does not work. I've been trying it.
Fuck.
I just have it on loop at my house. We've got 9 browsers open just looping it, and I still only have 1 listen. I still do it, though. We have 1,658 all-time listens, an estimated audience size of 33 people. So, not counting us, that's 30 people.
Nice.
Parker, you listen, right?
Yeah. I'm going to now because I need to go back and.
I knew you were lying!
What a prick. What a prick.
As soon as there was a pregnant pause, he was like, fuck, they didn't buy it. I'm going to have to sell this harder. And then you started talking, and I knew it was a sham.
Well, I need to now because I got to find out what this bet actually is.
What kind of whom would not listen to our podcast?
There's so many things wrong with that sentence.
Jeremy, you need to change your forum name to whom. It's the only way.
Captain Huam Esquire. Senior Huam.
So yeah.
I think we taught a lot of people how to use that word properly, though.
Yeah, the important thing is that we used it correctly every time.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
We're exemplars, really.
60% of the time, we didn't even use it.
Yeah.
All right, well, this has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Huam.
And this has been The Gang Gets Incepted by Huam.
Captain Huam.
Is someone breaking into your house, Jeremy?
No, it's like it's like there's a plane flying around my house.
Oh, I might have hired a Skyrider. You should go check.
At night, a night
There was
Skyrider.
a discount.
Are they called night Skyriders?
You're wasted your money, bro, because I'm not going outside.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's Al Qaeda.
It's Mustafa or Quintafa or Quinlo. I don't know, something. Some sort of like... Antifa. There we go.
Antifa.
Antifa. That's what you're trying to get to is Antifa.
I knew it was some sort of...
What if them and Al Qaeda joined forces, Parker? They could be unstoppable.
What did you guys make no sense? I love it.
You're the one supposed to be working on the news right now. That's what
if-
happens.
What if?
See what happens?
What if Antifa and Mufasa from The Lion King and
I mean,
You don't say what it's from. You just say the word because they sound alike. That's how
right.
you know they're related.
Mufasa, Mufasa.
it's the best.
One of the characters on 30 Rock, like a random like guest star episode, was so your name is Eugene? No, it's U period and then Gene. I abbreviated my first name. She's like, "Oh, what's your first name?" Eugene. Fuck me. Like I did not know how to handle that at the time.
The best episode of that is with Paul Rubens, where he plays the prince. That one has me in tears.
Oh,
Yeah.
the like
He's got a
mutant
tiny
guy.
hand.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
can you believe old enough to rent a car? Ah!
She's like, "You look like you're 50."
Yeah. Ah! It is good to laugh.
It feels so good to laugh. He's got that tiny baby hand.
Yeah.
I love how Jack is like, yeah, he's probably slightly resentful towards his family for the centuries of inbreeding. Like,
Oh my god.
He was that scene should go down in television history as like one of the best scenes ever written for a person. Oh, it's just perfect.
Mm-hmm. It's just so good. I also like when Jack is trying to beat the young guy at poker and he can't read him and he keeps winning or whatever.
that's pretty early on too.
Yeah, I like the first season a lot. The rest of them get a little trying.
Yeah, the show. I think that show peaks really early.
It does have Jennifer Aniston later on, and they have the F Train, which is really funny.
Yeah.
Have you got to that part yet?
Yeah, I'm on season 6. I just started 6.
Yeah, that's pretty far. You need to go. She's in your house.
Yeah.
So I'm still watching Attack on Titan. I'm getting there. I'm getting through
right.
it.
You're starting to learn new and exciting things.
Now is going fucking batshit crazy. Like I'm diving into season 2. I'm a few episodes in, and now every fucking episode has like a reveal that's insane.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That will be pretty much true all the way through season 3.
That's
Really?
what I was talking about. Like the show is designed to make you feel like you're on the same roller coaster that the characters are always on. You're always on the back foot, always. Like you're always treading.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Until all of a sudden you're not, and then at one point, like the characters get a grip on everything, and then so do you, and then the show flips in tone.
Yeah, the first quarter of the first season is like, okay, they're like basically making these kids join the military, and you're like, this is kind of weird. And then you realize at the end of the first quarter, that's really just a show about how people get horribly murdered. And then for the next half the season, you're just like, we have no idea what's happening, but I'm so in. And then like the last quarter of the first season is like, okay, we're past the mystery. We know what's going on. We just got to accomplish this goal. And then the end of the season happens. You're like, okay, I can't wait to see season 2. And then season 2 starts. You're like, I literally never knew anything ever, not once. and then that's just true forever.
Yeah.
So
every episode
season
has
4
reveals.
apparently just dropped, and I just need to watch it. I just re-upped Funimation so I can watch it online.
Yeah, I'm actually the first season I wasn't necessarily enjoying it. It was a struggle because there was so much information that just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And at some point you need to get relief from that. And I feel like
you
now
gotta read those screen titles.
Oh,
where they
Jesus.
give you little bits of information. Do you not read those?
Do you know how hard those are to read?
Yeah, you gotta pause it.
I guess. I just read like the last sentence now. I just don't read the whole thing because it's just too much. Parker, are you going to come up for games tomorrow?
I'd say it's like a 50-50 chance. The problem is, I say there was a problem, which is the store wasn't open late, but now the store's open later now. There's a really good chance I'll be up there. I don't know if anybody else will still be there though.
What time do you think you can come up?
It'll probably be around 8:30, something like that.
I'll be there
at the earliest.
I will also be there.
Do you work, Brandon, on Thursdays?
Yeah.
Usually I play
Just
a game with Brandon, and then nobody else
we
is
haven't
there.
seen each other for 18 months, and you forget what days I work. Jesus Christ.
He only works 3 days. Holy shit, you can't remember the 3 days he works?
Yeah.
Only 3 now? Look at you. Highfalutin.
Always worked 3 days.
Oh, I thought you
for the last 5 years.
At one point, I thought you worked a lot more than that.
Oh yeah, when EJ had Ebola, I worked more than that.
Oh,
I worked. Let's see. What's one more than 6 days a week? How many days is that?
So yeah, working the 12-hour days is always well and cool until someone takes a day off and you got to fill it. Like I've had that happen with cooks or whatever when we try to do that. I'm like, wait a second, you're on vacation? Oh my god.
Yeah, we had Recruits one year, and we had a booth at Recruits, and I was running the War Machine qualifier. And so EJ was at the store. We hired 3 employees to make sure we had enough people to cover it. All 3 of them got sick or didn't show up.
Oh my god.
And so I worked 33 out of 48 hours concurrent to get the weekend done. And most of it was at Recruits on my feet, like walking around and moving stuff and setting up tables.
Has anyone said anything about Recruits this year?
I assume Fall Recruits is on.
Yeah, I'm really coming up dry.
That's fine. We don't have to Comic Corner. It's like the weakest segment.
Oh, I was going to say, I like doing the topics more than I do the ratings, just to throw that out there.
Okay, so ratings from now on.
Whatever. I know how you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I really covered everything. Yeah, I don't really want to.
Was there a topic you want to talk about today?
Not necessarily. I think the one last week was really good.
We did ratings last week.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
You said let's.
You're also wrong.
You gave us some how do you feel about the state of tactics cards? Remember, you guys triggered me about trying to take Wakanda away, and then you got me to agree that it would be good for the game, but I hate it.
He said, Parker, show me where he touched you.
Basically, you got me to pick which one of my kids should die. Is what you got to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
No, but if one had to. But
If one
Yeah.
really-
if it had to.
if it was
Yeah.
basically the episode could have been called Parker's Choice.
There's two trolleys, right? They're both on individual tracks.
Yeah.
You have the ability to unplug one of them. I
Have
don't
you-
know what this does, but you can choose to unplug a trolley.
Have you
It'll
seen,
probably inconvenience a lot of people.
have you seen the so somebody did the philosophy joke, the trolley dilemma.
Is it the
Um,
trolley problem in real life?
They wait. Did you hear there's a video game about that? Is that the name of the video game?
Oh no.
Okay,
No,
there's
I was talking about something else.
there's somebody produced a video game called like the trolley dilemma, and it is the point is just this really kindly guy says, he goes, I have a problem. We have to decide which way to switch the trolley. I'm going to murder everybody. But how do we murder more people? And so the point is not to like try to do the best scenario. There's no judgment call. It's just there's gonna be a lot of death. Just make some or not. It's just a weird like sandboxy kind of game where they just give you dilemma after dilemma, and in both scenarios, everyone like thousands of people die. It's a really weird, grim game. But I love the principle, the concept, which is it starts off with just the first like 10 seconds. You're thinking, oh, interesting, like a set of these philosophical dilemmas. Nope. It's just
Have you
basically
seen-
Grand Theft Auto with trains.
Have you seen The Good Place?
I have not seen all of it. No.
So, one part of it is they're talking about that in a philosophical conversation, and Ted Danson, being the creator of the thing, can do anything he wants. So they were talking about
Yeah.
it and getting real in depth, and he's like, you know what? I think it'd be easier if we just did it. And all of a sudden they're on a trolley and they're going, and he's like, so I wonder which one we're going to choose. And you just see like one person screaming, and they run over him, and then they're like, I don't know about that. And he goes, well, okay, let's try it a different way. And you and the people are screaming and they're
He just
running over
backs it
people.
up, Yeah.
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 Oh God, that was such a good episode.
I like the episode when it's like a flashback of when his character Michael was trying to create the good place as his like spoilers, they're actually in the bad place. But anyway,
Aren't
he's
they
trying
in
to
they're in the
create
middle
this-
place?
No, that's later. This is like
Oh,
second
oh.
season.
Gotcha.
Which is like 2 years old now.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
great.
so he's trying to create the place that they're going to know as the good place. And so it's supposed to be like the good place, but he's trying to make it like diet soda. Like it's supposed to be good, but not as good as it should be. And he's going to trap them here forever. And it's going to be like this constant like social anxiety problem. But anyway, he's trying to create like their hangout spots and like give them stuff to have so that they think they're in the good place. And he's talking to the robot that controls the city, and she's like, well, what can I give them that's like good, but should obviously be better than it is?
Mhm.
And they just can't say anything about it because it's like the most human thing ever. And he's like, what about like an ice cream parlor? He's like, no, people like ice cream too much. We can't have ice cream. He's like, what about frozen yogurt? He's like, that's perfect because no one actually likes it. They only eat it because they shouldn't eat ice cream. And so he makes the frozen yogurt stand. And it's just like, that's like the entire show. And I love that because it reminds me of Ron Swanson, who like doesn't compromise.
Mhm.
It's like you do the best or you do nothing.
Yeah, it's like it's plain too. It's like plain frozen
Mhm.
yogurt. It's not even like
No, they have toppings.
do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
But it's
that.
like sprinkles and jelly worms or whatever. It's like, yeah, but it's not ice cream. Anybody eats frozen yogurt's an idiot. Go eat ice cream. It's better.
I mean, if you're gonna
So we-
spend the calories on it, I mean, might as well eat fucking ice cream because frozen
Yeah.
yogurt, unless it's like fat free and garbage, like is just as bad.
That's like, I don't get diet soda. If you want to not, like, if you're diabetic, I get it because you literally can't have sugar. But like, if you want soda, either drink the soda or get over it and don't. Like I don't understand like the point of diet soda. All right, so that was about 40 minutes.
I was gonna say, can we just like splice that in the middle of the episode? There's your topics.
Can you? No, you can't because you're an ignorant son of a bitch. However, I can because I'm a genius.
He's so
But
smart.
I can't right now because I'm handicapped. My wrist is broken. Don't work no more. I was watching Mobile Gamer's stream when he was playing Marvel Strike Force, and he did offer review, and he forgot something, and he just didn't include it in like the 3-minute video. And his people watching him on Twitch were like, "Well, just edit it in. Just record an extra segment, edit it in." He's like, "That would take 2 hours, guys." I'm like, "It what?" It's like he's like, "Yeah, because editing video is hard." I'm like, uh-oh. Like, this guy might be an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like, I figured it out on my own, and it's not that hard. He's like, "Yeah, but then you have to, like, render it, and that takes a long time." I'm like, not on an 8-minute video. How do you not have to render the video you already have? Anyway, it was funny. All right, what else do we want to talk about?
I don't know. They need to release some new fucking models.
They are. They're coming out very soon.
I feel like
them.
Yeah, I feel like the game
They're
is
called Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. It's like the game is on like a stasis now because all these models and rules exist and we don't have the models. I'm like, ugh.
I do think they spoil them. And I hate to say this because we do a decent amount of our business on spoilers, but I think we do a little too much spoiling. Like things come out and they're not new anymore. Like they're already like exhausted. But this has been a thing in our culture now for like decades.
Yeah.
Like remember when like you would see a preview for a movie that was coming out in like 3 weeks, and now you see a preview for a movie and it comes out next year summer. Like doesn't even have a release date yet.
Yeah.
Because they haven't made it. Like, yeah, I remember. What was it? It wasn't Force Awakens, but it was like on that level. It was like Lord of the Rings scale movie coming out, like a huge deal. And it was like I saw the trailer 13 months before the movie came out. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, this is so beyond stupid. Like video games, like you can do the open beta or whatever like 2 months before the game comes out. Like, it's so dumb.
I have this theory that I think it's part marketing drove it. Like the need to get into like viral marketing, right? If we just get it out there, if enough people just hear about our product and they just know about it, it'll just increase the presence, right? It will become important. It'll become recognizable, and people won't be able to ignore it. And I get that
if
impulse.
If you build it, they will come.
Right. I get that impulse as, a creator, a content creator of any kind. I get that impulse to do that. But the problem is, in the race, you start a race, like you start an arms race of just getting faster. It's like, well, this production company is, getting their information out 8 months. So now we're going to do it 9 months and then 12 months. And then you start doing things like making impossible promises. And then because the internet is the internet and everybody demands everything right now the level of transparency with some of this shit is eating into the quality of the game, right? Like
Well, my favorite thing that happened like 2 years ago was early release stuff on Steam. And so they would put all these ads for a game and then they would quote early release it, which is like pre-alpha shit. Like the game is not anywhere close to done.
Right.
People get in it, but they bought the game to get access to the pre-alpha to play the game because of all the ads they've seen. And then they get this unfinished game that's super terrible, but now the company has made their money and now it's not worth their time to finish it. And so they just like leave it and it like never gets completed. And it's just like basically a pre-release game that they never finished because you already paid for it. And it was just like, what did you expect to happen, idiots?
Well, I think it's even worse is whenever, when like video game when video game players or comic book collectors or movie watchers make a decision about what movie they're going to make based upon production drama, right? Like we just found out that the producer was, one of the assistant producers was fired for, and that probably means this thing is really bad. I don't think we should also be really skeptical of this. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, some industry bullshit happens that you understand none of the context, and you're going to make a decision based on that. I have a friend who does that. Like if he hears anything about a video game, like the video game production like concept, that seems shady in any way or shows a lack of perfect trust in all levels of the organization, then he just bails out of the game instantly. He won't do it. And you're just like,
the janitor's girlfriend of the executive producer on this game got fired 18 months before release, so I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
you're just like, they must not have confidence in this product. It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad.
The janitor saw some screenshots when he was cleaning up.
It's really weird. There's a weird hype that goes along with it. And I actually don't think what happened, I don't think it's production companies. Production company drove it, definitely. Like, they were in the driver's seat to make this happen, but now they have to live with it. And what they're living with is games of tabletop and card and movies and comic books. They die before they even have a chance to live, because you have to have this squeaky clean pre-production. Like, you, from the very first moment of inception to the content being actually available, you have to have, everything has to be pristine, or else you can get something that's tarnished. What's funny, though, I will say this: there are a few examples in which the public shaming of IP did good, and I'm looking at you, Sonic the Hedgehog movie, like, like that was that, like, the original render for Sonic the Hedgehog did look weird and awful, and because that was leaked and everybody went, no, like, that's terrible, it got redid, and
there's two. You're missing the biggest one, actually.
Oh, there's another one that happened too?
Deadpool leaked footage.
That's right. That's right. In the movie,
because Ryan Reynolds' mother was in the studio on a tour and accidentally hit the release button. That's officially what happened. That is officially what happened.
Yeah. Like that
totally wasn't Ryan Reynolds. That would be illegal.
Right. Like that kind of stuff is, and maybe that's why you have to, like, maybe it's just the good but the bad, right? You have to have both. You have to be cool with the world being able to shout until they fix Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, I think that was a good level of shouting, because they had a legitimate complaint that was basically an oversight because the people producing the movie didn't understand the audience, and then it got fixed and the movie was successful, right?
Right.
Like, that's a good example of,
it's a feedback,
like, public outrage fixing it.
Right. It was
As
a
where
feedback loop that
public
actually
outrage
helped.
of people, like, just getting mad over dumb shit and then complaining about it for no reason needs to go away.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, blah blah blah, Dancing with the Stars while masked is now on at 8 p.m. instead of 7:30, so I'm gonna kill myself. Like, that's not a real argument. Yeah. That's also why I don't sleep on planes.
You'll be
I don't want to get incepted. I don't want to be incepted. Parker said Inception 8 minutes ago. It's a callback.
Yeah, that's true.
You see, a callback is when you reference something that's previously happened.
Uh-huh.
Like this conversation.
Boom.
I feel like I've already lived it twice.
Oh my gosh, it's 10:20. What are we doing?
What do you mean? We're podcasting.
Oh.
Did you forget what you were doing?
No, like, are we... We haven't
Parker,
even seen
quick,
the intro.
look at your phone. What time is it?
10:22.
Oh, wow. We've been podcasting for an additional 2 minutes now. Whoa!
That's why I always keep a top spinning, just in case. I don't want to get tricked into being incepted.
I got incepted one time. Someone was like, man, cheesecake sounds really good. I was like, son of a bitch, cheesecake does sound really good. And then, luckily, it was all okay, because I actually just really like cheesecake.
It turns out.
Out I wasn't even incepted.
Wait, are you really sure? It sounds like you were incepted. How could you know?
Mm-hmm.
God.
Because if I was incepted, I'd be really upset about it, but I'm not. Not incepted.
Maybe you just live in the wall.
Ironclad logic.
Oh boy. So, is there anything else you guys want to talk about today?
I feel like I've been incepted.
We're gonna do some ratings. If not,
oh
we're
Jesus!
gonna frantically find a topic. Ooh.
I mean, we kind of glanced over it, but what?
I got a topic.
Go ahead.
Topic. Don't say anything.
Oh Jesus!
Okay. All right, we're about to get started. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
We've been podcasting.
Good.
Jermiger Constantine.
Shut the fuck up. God damn it. I was about to start turning it law. You know, I need to message the Arkansas guys to see if they want to start coming up to our events. They said, so, I don't know, somewhere between 18 and 6 months ago that they wanted to come up for events as soon as we started running them again. So,
Who? Oh, which Arkansas guys? Like the same Arkansas guys that used to play War Machine?
no, different guys. These guys, they're really into banjo and moonshine.
That's you've described.
All of Arkansas.
You guys just have most Arkansas guys.
And also many Missourians.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Missourians? Missourians?
Missourians.
Missourians.
It's
Missourians.
I think they pronounce it Missourians.
Missouras? It's Missouras, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the Mizzous?
They pronounce it
Mizzou.
Ozark.
Ozarkas?
We're just the Ozarks. That's it. That's all they know.
I hear you get a 24-pack of Ozarks for like $12.
All right, are we going to start?
I was going to, then Parker ruined everything.
And you just can't restart. You just can't focus now. Your ADHD is fucking going mad.
I wrote the number down. How do you expect me to change it? I can't edit it. All right, shut up. It's so hard to type when you have a wrist brace on.
I'm sure it's
Good to
not
know.
fun.
It keeps hitting the control key, and then I press a letter, and then like all these squiggly lines and numbers pop up, and I'm like, no, exit debug mode. Well, that was a fun podcast. Parker, why did you keep mentioning the pre-ramble while we were in the main episode? That was very annoying. I had to cut out all of those.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know we couldn't do that.
Well, it's because you're like we talked about in the pre-ramble after we talked about moving it to the actual episode.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, great, now I have to either not move it or cut that out.
Oh, I actually thought you weren't going to do that because you talked about how difficult that actually is.
Yeah, but I also really spend a lot of time on this.
Okay.
Yes, Whoam does.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but
I
Whoam
nailed it.
do. Right? Because Whoam is I or him, right?
Yep.
Oh,
He just threw his thing down on the table. Are
Whoam
you
does he
attempting to
think
gouge
he
your
is?
eyes out? Why do Whoam think is are?
I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be part of this world anymore.
Abomination. Atrocity.
You used whoam like the pronoun he in that sentence. So
From
you
now
just
on,
took out,
any-
you just took out a word.
That's how you told me to use it.
No, it's the opposite of how I.
That's Whoam he said.
We're about to get Parker to the point where he clawed his fingernails into a game table. Oh god.
Okay.
Oh, Whoam can hear us now. Whoam can hear us.
For whom can he?
No, not he, whom.
Oh.
Why don't you ask whom if whom can hear whom?
Oh.
Whom can? Hey, the last use of whom actually was okay. The last use of whom was
No.
actually all right.
No.
That was an object.
No, the first use of whom was correct.
No.
The last two were not.
The last word was actually.
Because I said, why don't you ask him? And you said it was if you use him or her.
Ask whom? Question mark.
Yeah. Why don't you ask whom if whom can whom?
But you're using whom as a pronoun, but it's not.
What does that mean? What's a pronoun?
It's something that takes the place of a noun. Whom is like you do not know who it is, right? Ugh, Jesus.
So it's only whom if it could be him or she.
Right. The idea is if you okay.
Not if it is him and or she. It is just separate. Only if it's both. We're gonna get him to explain it again. It's gonna be great.
No, I'm not going to explain it again because you're trolling me.
We are a house of learned doctors.
Actually, Parker, there was something I wanted to compliment you on, and I can't remember what it was during the podcast.
Oh Jesus!
I was like, I'm going to talk to him about that afterwards because he did a good job about something,
Oh no!
and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was.
Oh, that makes me sad. I could use one of those.
Oh, I remember now. It was you owning up to the shaved head bet.
Oh, what?
I
that
heard
you're
it.
going to shave your head if he's in Brotherhood.
No.
And I really appreciate you being a stand-up guy and not welching on
Jesus,
the
I actually thought you were going to give me a compliment for half
bed. No,
a
there
second.
actually was something. There was something. I just forgot.
Brandon sure is
Jeremy,
withholding.
you are way too happy. Jeremy's like, he's not making fun of me for once. He's
No.
directing it at Parker.
No, I was like, something's coming. This is never going to be good.
No, I actually, like, legitimately, there was something that happened. I was like, good job, Parker. Oh, I remember now.
Mhm.
I did the wrap-up signal twice, and you actually wrapped up what you were saying.
Yeah.
Which is the first time in 33 episodes we've done the wrap-up signal, and you weren't turned sideways in your chair debating a wall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why isn't he looking at his monitor? The whole reason we're doing video chat is so he can see visual cues to shut the fuck up.
Mhm. Yep, I learned. Episode 30-something.
I let you go on way too long multiple times because I was so used to you not responding. I was just like doing the wrap up and you're just like typing on fucking iTunes or something. Like, what is he doing? Why is he not watching me?
But you
I know Jeremy has seen me doing a fucking puppet show over here trying to get your attention. And meanwhile, Parker started with, what should I play in my Avengers list? And we're now talking about the next Michael Bay movie. And it's like, Parker, stop. Just, we gotta shut it down. Anyway,
but not this,
so good job.
Not
Good-
today.
not today.
Not
No
today.
more Transformers today.
Nope. I'm going to do it this
You
time.
see Loki's coming out early?
Early? What do you mean?
So they're going to start, but they're going to put him out on Wednesday.
Instead of Friday?
Yeah.
Whoa. My
Mhm.
life is impacted.
Wait, hold on. What? I didn't think it was so soon. I thought it was in June. It's coming out in May?
No, I think it was supposed to start on Friday.
Yeah. They were only going to
Ooh.
have 1 week. Like, it's supposed to be constantly a show now, like always.
Yeah, it's supposed to only be 1 week off in between each show.
I'm almost done with Winter Soldier.
You haven't finished it yet?
Mm-mm.
I thought I took a while to watch the final episode.
I'm on...
You finished... Did you finish Invincible?
Yeah. I finished that one really
Fuck yeah.
fast.
Fuck yeah, you did. Way better than Winter Soldier.
I finished Invincible because Sarah has absolutely no interest in animated shows.
Oh, so you don't have to wait for her to watch it.
Right. So no, when I watch a show, I just binge it hard and will finish it as fast as I can because I want to know how it ends very badly. But when I watch a show with Sarah, we have to pace ourselves. Also, I did not know, but Winter Soldier is, like nearly hour-long episodes every time, and that's kind of much.
You know what? I haven't checked in a while.
The difference between who and whom?
Yep. Well, it's Whom's website, dude. Have I not gone to in a while?
Oh.
JimButcher.com.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Upcoming works. Oh. Okay, here we go. No, I want new stuff. 20th anniversary of the Dresden Files. I think this is all older stuff. Novels. I don't think this has been updated in a while. I think all we know about the next book is it's just still Mirror. Oh, hold on. Dates to be determined. Dresden Files 18, tentatively titled 12 months? Mirror will now be book 19. He's added 2 books to the series!
Wait, what?
Book 18 was going to be Mirror. It got pushed back to book 19. And now 12 months is going to be book 18 in the series.
Really? So the series is
Yeah.
getting longer because he can't put all the things he wants into books.
I think he's actually just coming up with more stuff, and it's like filling, because he's made the characters in the world so in depth. I think it just, when he goes to write, it just fills up too quickly. Because you could tell, obviously, Peace Talks and Battlegrounds was supposed to be one book.
Right.
Like, there's literally just an intermission between the 2 books.
Yeah.
And oh my god, if they had dropped as one book, I don't think I could have functioned for a week.
Oh.
I needed 3 months of cool down time. Anyway, also the next Cinderspire book is called The Olympian Affair, and they will not be out in 2020. So this was not been updated in since September of 2020, and it says obviously these books will not be out this year, but that's 2020, so they might be out later this year. Huh? Interesting. Yeah, so I was gonna say, we're actually at the point where like looking on the horizon for another Dresden Files book is actually like a legitimate thing to do now.
I wonder if COVID sped it up or slowed it down.
I think COVID sped up the last couple books because obviously not. I think the problem that eats his time a lot. If you ever go to his website, look at his appearances, he goes to like a fucking thing every 2 weeks, which has got to interrupt his writing time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, fun stuff. So spoilers going forward for Invincible, because Jeremy, you watched it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're finished.
Yep.
Yep. I'm excited. Fun times. What else is coming out soon? Oh, there's a new thing on Netflix that's supposed to drop like tomorrow, I think.
What
that's
is it?
superhero related. It's Jupiter Ascending or Jupiter's Legacy, something like that.
Oh, Jupiter Ascending is a terrible movie. Maybe the Wachowski brothers.
I'm saying it. Jupiter's Legacy is coming out Friday. They're the first generation of superheroes, but as they pass the torch to their children, tensions are rising, and the old rules no longer apply. It's a live-action show from Netflix. Trailer's out. It basically looks like a pseudo-Justice League that's like passing the torch to the young Justice League. But they're like the only superheroes, I think. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But yeah, it comes out Friday.
Okay.
Typical Netflix. Looks like pretty high production value.
I have way too many Attack on Titans to watch to worry about anything else.
Are you pretty happy with Attack on Titan so far?
Yeah. Yeah, like it just keeps every episode opens a new door
Keeps
of insanity.
getting. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I
It
guess
starts
that's
off
new.
pretty slow and like starts building and building, and
Mhm.
eventually you get to the point where it's like a boulder just rolling down a hill, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
They keep having
Guess we're doing
huge
this.
reveals every single
Mhm.
episode now, so I'm like, what the fuck?
What's the last reveal you had?
Well, a girl jumped off of a castle and suddenly turned into like a
Okay.
nuke and then turned into a big monster. So, yeah.
I remember that.
It's a new one.
Uh,
yeah.
You haven't gotten to the big one of the season.
Of season 2.
No, well, I mean, it is. I think it happens in season 2. I'm specifically not saying anything about it because I don't want to. It's a pretty big surprise reveal.
Well, every episode's a thing. So, I'm into it. It's cool. I'll watch, 2-3 of them every day. It's good to go.
Is Levi your favorite character?
Levi's one of the only characters I can always look at and say, hey, that's Levi. Everybody else has
Yeah.
the same fucking hair and the same fucking gear, and they look pretty much the same.
Well, there's the girl with the scarf. There's the main character, and
Girl
then
with the scarf.
There's her whiny friend,
I love.
and then everyone else is a random recruit that isn't dead yet.
Yeah. Yeah, girl with glasses who's a scientist. There's her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a couple, but most of them look and sound pretty much the same. It's irritating.
Yeah. So the Levi movie is a prequel, so you can watch it whenever. But I think it technically comes out in the middle of like season 3 is when like it came out. So they don't reference the movie before then, and then they do reference the movie after that.
Yep, that's all I'm watching right now. That and watching Better Call Saul again for the third romp.
Yeah, that's a good show. Is it still going, or did they? Kill
They've
it
got
with
one
the
more
pandemic?
season that's coming next year. It's taken a 2-year kind of break,
Okay.
and it's the final season.
I was a big fan of Better Call Saul.
But yeah, I haven't found a great show to like dive into, like, the Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, like any of those like solid ones. I haven't seen one in a while that's just been. I guess The Boys, the next season of The Boys is going to be coming up soon.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I did like The Boys a lot. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. Superheroes have just kind of exploded into every form of media now. Oh, there was something I wanted to talk about. Have you noticed that, like, is it just us that we always talk about what we're watching? That where, like, everybody ends up watching the same stuff? Because I had a conversation with Max a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about something about Halloween, I think it was, and I brought up Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Oh, it's like such and such, the Halloween heist. And he's like, oh, I don't watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, you don't watch a show I watch? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, it was just like, it was so, like, shocking that he hadn't seen it. And I was like, why don't you watch it? He's like, I don't know, I just never seemed interested in it. I was like, well, fucking go watch it. Like how are we supposed to talk about this? Like, I didn't know if it was just that randomly our group of like you guys, me, Jason, Richard, my old roommate Brian, like always watched the same stuff, and so we always talked about it. And so it was just odd to me that he hadn't seen it.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Like,
kind of hit a gap where I didn't really watch it, but I had to catch up on it later. So there is a lot of that I haven't watched much.
But it's just a good show. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It's probably the best show that's on regular TV right now.
Is it still on?
It might be done, but it had a fairly recent season, like pre-COVID.
Huh.
That's the thing is like what shows are still going? Like it's like how many of them are just forever dead, and how many are going to come back eventually?
I don't know. There's just one Office.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up, and we'll get out of here.